Hello and welcome to Manga Watch. That's right, this is the start of a brand new series from myself in which we look at manga, anime and other things, including anime figures, Hololive and whatever else I can figure out. And we look at the news in a fun way because hey, we're going to have an incredible budget go towards all of this. Now, let's go to the news desk for some news. Yeah, you can see where the budget's going to go for this, can't you? Our first bit of news is that Jojo's Bizarre Adventure Part 8 has finally wrapped itself up, taking up almost 10 years. 10 full years just for one part. Don't worry, however, because Jojo's Part 9 is rumoured to be in development and releasing later this year after a short break. Jojo's Bizarre Adventure Part 8, otherwise known as Jojo Leon, debuted in Ultra Jump back in May 2011. It's had 10 years of content comprising of 27 volumes. The question is, how long will Part 9 last? It's definitely on people's lips. And will Part 9 be the final arc in this long-running series? Speaking of Jojo, the long-awaited Part 6 has finally been announced to be released on Netflix later this year. That's right. Rather than being on Crunchyroll or Funimation, we're going to get it all on Netflix. Now, we don't know how exactly this is going to work out. We don't know if it's all going to be on in one glorious whole. However, what we do know is that us in the West are going to get it before Japan. So yeah, that's an interesting little development there. And it's also interesting that Netflix of all places have managed to get Jojo before some of the other titles. I wonder if there's a certain reason why Netflix of all people have managed to get that as opposed to Funimation. Maybe we'll cover that a little bit later on. But what do you guys think? Are you excited for Part 9? What did you think of Part 8? Are you hyped up? And what do you feel about Jojo Part 6 being a Netflix exclusive? Let me know in the comments. If there's one thing that scares an anime fan, it's a live action. That's right. We once again delving into the world of live actions because hey, it's those things that just keep on existing. Netflix have finally shown off some of the details for the new Cowboy Bebop live action series that is going to be releasing later on this year. And of course, fans are up in arms about it all. Cowboy Bebop was originally released back in 1998 and has remained one of those must-watch series ever since, following the escapades of a group of bounty hunters including Spike Spiegel, Jet Black, Faye Valentine, Ed and Eyeing the Dog. The first thing that we could kind of see was that, well, actually it was something that we couldn't see. We couldn't see Ed, one of the most fun characters in the series and one of the main characters. Ed was notably absent in the whole of the promotional material. Now, I'm kind of hoping that this is just a kind of thing that they just want to keep Ed under wraps for a little bit of time and potentially keep it as a little bit of a spoiler, possibly. The other thing was Faye Valentine's costume. Now, this is one of those things that's kind of heavily debated. Of course, the live action is going to change a few things from the source material. In fact, there'll probably be very little point in remaking a series if it was just following the source material 100%. And of course, Faye Valentine's outfit is one of those things that doesn't really translate very well into the real world. In fact, it's one of those things that a lot of cosplayers have over the years complained about, that it's quite difficult to get a good Faye Valentine costume that doesn't kind of, well, pop out, should say. And yeah, I can kind of understand that. Of course, I can see what the fans are saying as well. A lot of the thing that came down to with Faye Valentine herself is she's very confident about her body. And yeah, it's interesting that they're kind of going with that direction. I kind of hope that, obviously it's just a few screenshots we've seen. I kind of hope that we do get to see a few things kind of to give the best of both worlds to everybody involved. But of course, the whole thing with live actions is, well, they're just there to try and fill a void for people who aren't already fans. At least that is in my opinion. The anime is not going anywhere. It's very, very easy to find a copy of Cowboy Bebop. It's probably one of the easiest titles of all time to find. It seems to be always in circulation, whichever version that they've got out at the moment. I know I've still got my Blu-rays from about 8 years ago now, and they do the job. So no matter how bad a live action is, I can still just go and watch that series on the Blu-ray. But for people who aren't quite into it, this might be a good opportunity. I do know people who have watched the Death Note movie, the Netflix Death Note movie, and just thought, yeah, this wasn't very good, but I'm going to try out the original source material, and then went out and bought the manga. So, you know, in some ways, these live actions, they do serve a purpose, and that purpose is really for people who probably aren't already fans of the series, to be honest. And those who already are fans, well, we've still got the original content, and that's just brilliant. What do you guys think of the Netflix Cowboy Bebop adaptation so far? Are you looking forward to it? Let me know. One of the runaway hits over the last few years has been Isekai Quartet. That's right, the combination of ReZero, Konosuba, Overlord, Tanya the Evil, with a little bit of Shield Hero thrown in. Now, this has already gotten 2 series. However, a movie has been announced to be in works. Simply titled Isekai Quartet Movie, Another World, little is actually known about the movie itself at this point, other than the cast from the 5 series currently represented will return. We don't know if Overcautious Hero, which had a cameo appearance during Season 2, will be included, or if any other Kadokawa anime properties will be included in this movie. Considering there's a lot of other popular Kadokawa titles such as Do You Love Your Mom and a 2-hit multi-target attacks, Mushoku Tensei, and all of the other ones, I wouldn't be surprised to see if a few of these characters appear in the movie, because, you know, it's got to be bigger than Avengers somehow. But that's not all. As well as announcing a movie for Isekai Quartet, we are getting new series for Overlord and a movie for Overlord. That's right. We're also getting a series for Tanya the Evil and a new anime project for Konosuba. Tanya the Evil getting a second series is something that I wasn't really sure was going to happen until, well, it kind of did. Tanya always feels like it's the one that gets the least amount of attention out of all of the Isekai Quartet, which is a shame because it's just as good, if not better, than pretty much all of them. Well, actually, I'd say they're all just as good. They're all as good as each other. I mean, personally, I like Konosuba the most, but Tanya the Evil is a lot of good fun too. And yes, a Konosuba project has been announced. Now, I don't really want to kind of get too much into this one because it's quite easy to speculate on what this could mean. It could mean a season 3. That's what I think a lot of people are hoping for. And of course, it kind of needs a season 3. The anime is well behind the light novel at this point. The movie only covered volume 5. So at this point, we could expect season 3 to cover volume 6 and volume 7, introducing to us Princess Iris, which I think is long overdue. However, the word anime project kind of, I wouldn't say worries me, but it kind of means to me that it might not actually be Konosuba season 3. It could be a few other things. I mean, for example, there is a lot of Konosuba spin-offs, and one of the most popular spin-offs is, well, Konosuba, An Explosion on This Wonderful World, which is, well, one of the Mega Man spin-offs. In my opinion, I feel like they could kind of want to do this. It's one of those ones where it's a spin-off, but I feel it'd be popular enough to kind of get its own series. Of course, the image that we got, the teaser image, does show all of them, whereas this Konosuba Explosion is a prequel to the whole series, so yeah, I'm not too sure. It's one of those ones where it's an option. They haven't said straight away it's season 3, so we'll just cross our fingers. What do you guys hope for Konosuba season 3? Are you excited for Tiny Evil season 2? And what could be covered in the Overlord movie? Let me know what you think in the comments. Hello and welcome to Waifu of the Week, where we look at the greatest of all the waifus. Or at least we talk about Nico Robin, because hey, we all know that Nico Robin is the greatest and most best of all of the waifu. It's not Robin this week. Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure? Well, we'll agree to disagree. So apparently it's not Nico Robin this week. We're talking about Rem from ReZero. She is apparently waifu of the week, or waifu of the month as it were. Now, what do we love about Rem? Well, she's got a lovely smile, hasn't she? Yes, that's right. She's got... We can't spoil them. No. Yeah. She's got blue hair. That's still too much. Well, she's on the cover of the box. She's on the... she's called Rem. I don't really have much else to say. Unfortunately, the powers that be, they kind of don't want spoilers. So, yeah. This is Rem. Possibly. I hope so. Join me next week as we look at another Waifu of the Week. The hell, this is ridiculous. Speaking of Isekai, ahead of its 6th installment, we have had the announcement that Lupin III will be getting his very own Isekai spin-off. And, you know what? I'm quite intrigued by it. Titled Lupin III Neighborhood World Princess, it's actually begun running in the weekly Shonen Champion. Yosuke Saike is writing the script, while Keiaki Uchi is doing the art. Now, as somebody who has read their fair share of Isekai titles, there's one thing that I kind of feel is a little bit lacking when it comes to it, and that is, well, we don't see many Isekai that focus on rogues. Now, Konosuba kind of does this, especially in some of the later volumes. It does have the whole kind of roguish thing, but we don't really see many series that actually focus on, well, the heists. So Lupin and his buddies, I'm no doubting, are going to get into all of these Isekai shenanigans. They're going to go and perform a heist on the Demon Lord's castle or whatever. I'm really intrigued to see how this goes, because most series kind of have them as a mage, a tank, or, you know, the usual kind of warrior of light kind of thing, the hero protagonist. We don't see anybody actually doing a rogue-like Isekai, and I'm really excited to see how this all turns out. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Welcome to Hololive Watch. Now, this is probably a slightly recurring thing in which we talk about Hololive, because it's my video and I want to talk about Hololive. Simple as that. That's literally how it goes. I make the videos about things I want to talk about. So, what's been happening in the world of Hololive? Well, a lot actually. We've actually just had Hololive English Generation 2 announced and debuted. They actually debuted about 2 weeks ago, and yeah, that was a thing. Now, it's worth mentioning that we quite recently had Iris announced and released for debut. I say released as if the prisoners. She debuted, and she's also part of Hololive English, but she's not Gen 1 and she's not Gen 2. She's kind of her own thing called Project Hope. Now, she's the only member of Project Hope at the moment, so I'm quite interested to see how that whole thing kind of turns out. But about English Generation 2, known to us as the Council, Tsukumo Sana, Ceres Fauna, Uro Crony, Nanashi Mume, and Hakos Bales all made their debut on August 22nd, 2021. I hope that all of you guys will give them some support. And that's not the only debut we had, for very shortly after the Council debuted, we had another announcement that we would get a God VTuber. That's right, we are getting a God VTuber. Well, I say we got one. She debuted rather quick. She looked quite familiar. I'm fairly sure I've seen her cooking before. Well, God does make good pancakes, apparently. Full of spiders. But that's not all. We actually had yet another debut, known as Omega. Now, we don't really know what kind of position Omega is going to be in. She's kind of like production, so I don't know if it's going to be similar to like the managers, where we have English manager, Japanese manager, or if she's going to be her own thing. She's kind of got her own Twitter. I don't know if she's going to be kind of like the manager for the Hololive English branch or the Hololive Council, English Council branch, but wow, we're getting a lot of stuff. So yeah, you guys go support them all. But that's not all. We had Hololive Indonesia announce Generation 3, which is going to come out at the end of the year. Now, it amazes me because Hololive is really just chugging it out. And it's quite funny because this month we are celebrating not only the first year of Hololive English, the first year of Hololive Generation 5 as well. So we've had Generation 5 English, Indonesia 2, Iris, and the Council. 5 generations, all in 1 year. That's a lot of new debuts, and it's getting very difficult to keep them up, keep watching them all and everything. But we will. Next up, we're going to very lightly dip our toes into merchandise. So that's right, we're going to talk about anime figures on here. And if there's an anime figure that you would like me to talk about, let me know in the comments, because, hey, we're all just starting here. Now, I think the biggest news, or one of the biggest news, is Good Smile finally announcing the Hololive Nendoroids. Like I've said before, this is my thing. We're going to be talking about Hololive plenty of times. And yeah, now as soon as they were announced, they started coming up, and yeah, we started to see some slight issues. So the first 2 Hololive members to get Nendoroids was Aqua and Matsuri, and they sold out pretty quickly. In fact, they sold out a little bit too quickly, and it got to the point where you could only get them on Good Smile's own site, which I kind of felt, you know, they're going to have to advertise their own stock, they're going to have to advertise their own site. Fair enough. Then Marine came round, and she sold out incredibly fast, to the point that other VTubers, such as Gawr Gura, were actually complaining that they couldn't even purchase a Marine Nendoroid. The actual talent can't purchase their co-workers' figures. That's a thing I would never think I would ever see. And yes, speaking of Gawr Gura, of course, a Gawr Gura Nendoroid was announced with a huge amount of hype. And she sold out very quickly. And when I say very quickly, it is the first time in a long time that I've seen a website crash for figures. It used to happen all the time years ago when Marineford was airing for One Piece figures, but to see a Nendoroid or a VTuber crash Good Smile's website and have a reprint immediately announced because people couldn't even buy it, I feel is quite unprecedented. I can't think of any other series, any other Nendoroid that has been so popular that they've had to reprint. They've had to announce a reissue of the Nendoroid the same day the pre-orders have went up. That is insane. Now, Good Smile did apologise about this, and they kind of was like, oh, it was a little bit more than we expected. We didn't expect them to be kind of as popular. I mean, let's face it, Gura's only got 3 million subscribers. I mean, you know, that's not a small amount. But they said, we'll get another one kind of put out, and we'll get another one sorted. We'll get another, and this is going to be one, Gura's going to be one where she's going to have multiple re-releases. And so, a few weeks later, in fact about a week later, Good Smile announced another Hololive. And you'd think, off the back of Marine, Aqua, Matsuri, and especially Gura, that they would be more prepared. Of course, when they finally announced the release of Akihato, otherwise known as Hachama, otherwise known as Lolly-chama, otherwise known as God-chama, she kind of sold out immediately as well. And I kind of felt that this was a little bit of a dope in terms of Hololive. Some people say, oh well, Hololive haven't given them a whole kind of a big allocation, but then it was kind of like, well, Good Smile should have kind of forced them back after the first ones. I mean, even after Marine, they should have been like, look, these are more popular than I expected. You know, we're gonna have to get some more. Fortunately, Sora Senpai, she has had her Nendoroid put up for pre-order, and it seems like she's a little bit more readily available. Now, while she is the big face of Hololive, I don't think she's quite as popular as, say, Gura or Hachama. So, maybe it's just that. Also as well, Korone and Okayu both had their pop-up parade figures up for pre-order, and those still seem to be in stock in most places. So, hey, at least it looks like they're kind of getting this sorted out, at least. But, yeah, watch this space. We'll have some more figure news as something catches my eye. We come to our big news for the month, and it's one that I think just about everybody has an opinion on. They threatened us. They threatened it would happen. They said, they tried, and we all thought it would be stopped. But Funimation have bought Crunchyroll. Now, I'm not really sure how I feel about this. There's a lot of things to unpack, and at the moment we haven't really had any kind of announcement of what they're actually going to do, except they're planning on merging, or at least having one giant company. That's kind of the way it says it. We're going to have one giant company, so whether this means that Crunchyroll and Funimation are all going to become one glorious whole, or if you're just going to have to pay them twice, or pay one subscription, you get both subscriptions, or whatever. I heard a rumour that apparently PS Plus members were going to get Funimation for free, or something like that, and I was just like, yeah, I'm still not buying PS Plus. But for the industry, this is something that I feel might be quite worrying, because I'm not going to lie, competition is good. Now, for a lot of people, including myself, I can't justify buying 2 subscriptions. I can't justify Funimation and Crunchyroll. And they try to do with that because obviously it's like, yeah, we'll have all one glorious whole, everyone's buying from Sony. Sony has the market. But when it comes down to things, there's a lot more problems than what initially we might think. For example, this might have a massive negative effect on the anime industry. Another question is, what services to be used? Now, in the UK, Funimation service is absolutely terrible and barely has worked since day one. And I mean really, really terrible. It barely works at all. The subs aren't particularly great, and it's just a clunky overall site. Crunchyroll is barely better, but it kind of works on most years if you're lucky. And it's kind of one of those things I kind of feel like Crunchyroll is leagues and bounds higher quality than Funimation. But as we've seen in the past, Funimation seem to just kind of buy companies, rebrand into Funimation, and then kind of just go on their way. We've seen previously Funimation bought Manga UK, and Manga UK I felt had quite a legacy. They had quite a unique branding, and it saddens me every time I look on the Twitter and it's just all about whatever's streaming on Funimation. And since then, they've promised us the world. We've getting drips. I see drips, literal, the bottom of the barrel when it comes to anime releases. I mean, Netflix look like they're starting to pick up more titles, and they're just starting to put them out weekly, apparently. So, fingers crossed. I mean, Netflix might be the saviour of all of anime. Yeah, I mean, it's one of these things, it's doom and gloom at the moment. It might get better, we don't know. But as of writing, this is not something to be excited for. This is something we really need to be worried about, because, yeah, it sounds quite scary at the moment. It really is. And so we come to the end of the first Manga Watch episode. How was it for you guys? Let me know, because I want to do more of this, and there was a lot of work went into this, but I've had a lot of fun. And if you've got any news that you would like me to, well, cover, tweet it. #MangaWatch, and I will be watching. If you did like this, remember to leave a like, remember to consider subscribing, and I will see you next time.